everybody. This is Ray Ramos, and welcome to another segment of the Bold Lounge, where we believe, overcome, lead, and deliver. Again, I'm your host, Ray Ramos, and today we're we're starting to work on a powerful series on mental wellness, which you'll find in each episode. We'll talk about, things that people are dealing with now. It's a big topic with mental health. So today's topic would be, just practical tips for supporting mental wellness, right? It's an important topic, so we want to focus on it, really give it its due. And our goal is to help you build compassion, communication, and care in your relationships, families, and in communities. I have dealt with people who have suffered with mental health. I have been a part of a program with the New York City Police Department called Police Officers Providing Peer Assistance. And so, I've studied for a little bit at St. John's University in mental health, clinical mental health. So what we want, first point I want to point out is when you're looking for practical tips for supporting mental wellness, you want to have the power of presence, right? People don't always need advice. They need a safe space. Don't be quick to render something that you cannot render and give advice to things that you're not skilled at. We want to be supportive, and we want to let people know that when they talk to you, it's a safe space, that you're not going to go out and repeat what they're saying, but you're going to listen to them. So, you're listening without judgment also is a foundation of emotional support. Right? People can pick up on your mannerisms. If your body posture is one in which you're not really concerned or listening, that can really turn someone off that's really dealing with pain. And you don't want to judge. You want to listen, be attentive, head nods, your eye contact is paramount. You're not writing anything down, taking notes. It's all about them at that moment. And, understanding being a good listener isn't about, fixing the problem. It's about affirming their worth. So you're not there to fix them. You're not in a position to fix anyone. You're there in a position to be empathetic, and you want to really give them your overall attention. And then, after, difficult conversations, after you're done, if you want to, go over and kind of write some things down for yourself. So next time you talk to this person, you can kind of remember some of the things, but also being affirmative. You want to affirm that you listen to that person. So sometimes you want to repeat back to them what you heard so that they really know that you're paying attention to them. And like I said, be a support system, not a savior. Be a support system, not a savior. You can't rescue someone from their struggles, but you can work with them through it. You can encourage others by reminding them they're not alone. That's a big thing. When people are really going through it, they want to know that, they have that, again, like I said, that supports our system, that person that's really being attentive and listening to them, and let them know that you're there for them. Offer to accompany them to seeking help, whether that's counseling, church, or recovery groups. A simple, have you thought about professional help? I thought about going to this AA program. Oh, really? When is that program? Well, it's usually if you want, I can go with you, and they say, would you come with me? Yeah. You're lending that encouragement, that support that they may need, right? And then healthy boundaries is essential. Walking beside someone doesn't mean carrying their load. You're just there. You're not taking on their issues. We don't want to do that. It's called transference. So you don't want to let their issues transfer and come on to you. You just want to let them know that, I'm here to help you. I'm here to walk you through and take you to wherever you need to go. But that's as far as I can take you. You're thinking about faith-wise, Jesus sent his disciples 2 by 2. Healing and growth happened in community. Two people, someone that's going through it, having that support system can be very beneficial to their recovery. Encouraging professional and spiritual help. So they may talk about, some things that they're dealing with, and all you can do is say, well, have you talked to someone? Have you gone to anywhere faith faith-based groups? Have you looked into any programs? So faith and therapy are not enemies. They are allies. And, a lot of times people don't seek that type of help because they don't want to be labeled. But encouraging them to know that, if you decide to do that, that it gives you some clarity, it gives you some answers as to what you may be dealing with, and you're not alone. There'll be other people that have gone through it or are going through the same things you're dealing with. And also faith gives hope. Therapy provides tools, and that's all they need. They need tools to help them move on to how they're going to cope. The other point is normalize mental health conversations in families and faith circles. Don't make people feel that what they're telling you is alien. Offer resources, local counseling centers. Like I said, there are hotlines that they can call. And again, small group or large group programs, but avoid saying things like just pray more, or it could be worse. Replace those words with I'm here for you, and you don't have to face this alone. Those responses give more hope. You don't understand. You may not have gone through that before. And people that are not faith-based need help with learning how to pray. You know what I'm saying? If you want to say, well, you know what, can I pray for you? Can I pray for you helps more than someone tells them, well, just pray on it. Just pray on it. It'll be all right. No. Someone that's really going through, a lot of times that's the last thing they're thinking about. But you have to assure them and lead them in that direction. So you do the prayer for them, and don't make it seem like their issue is not important by saying it could be worse. That is not speaking positivity. That's kind of a negative response to someone that's dealing with mental health challenges. And then honesty and boundaries. Never promise more than you can deliver. Honesty builds trust. So don't tell someone that, I can help you through this and you really can't. Don't give anybody that false hope, because if they're on the edge, that very thing that you just stated could really send them over the edge. Be consistent in your check-ins. It's better to show up regularly than to promise constant access. If you're going to tell someone, what, let's talk every Monday. Let me see where you at as opposed to where you were last week. And lock that in, because the worst thing you could do is tell someone, well, let's get together here, or let's talk these particular days, and you're not available. You just lost the trust of that person. And gaining trust with someone going through mental health issues is important. Those beginning stages are very important, and that person has to really know that you have their best interest. And then recognize about yourself, recognize your own limits. It's okay to admit when you don't have all the answers. I had a quote: being strong for someone doesn't mean carrying them. It means helping them to stand. So you're not doing it for them, but you're coming alongside them. You're undergirding them to help them, get back on the right path, right? But recognize your limits. We're human. If you've got no training, don't try to offer professional help. Don't fake it, because you're dealing with someone's life. And that is important when dealing with people that are going through mental challenges. I've had to sit with several people going through mental challenges, and the first few hours are very critical, because I want to devote all that time to listening. And when that person gives me permission, or will give you permission to respond, the way you respond speaks volumes. So like I said, you're taking mental notes, you're listening to that person, and you're repeating back. So you tell me that since your wife left you, or since you lost your last job, you've gone on this drinking binge. Do you know how long has that been going on? But they know that you're listening to them. So that is paramount, being a good listener, repeating back to them the things that they may be telling you. So if I'm to be clear, you're telling me X, Y, and Z. They say, yeah, that's what, okay. And what do you see for yourself in terms of getting some help? Well, I really haven't thought about it yet. I would like to get some help, but I really don't know. Is it okay if I give you some suggestions? Yeah, because I don't know. Okay, well, I know there's some AAA programs, or there's some substance abuse programs, or there's some marriage counseling. How are you in your faith walk? If I don't know, how are you in your faith? Well, I go to church on Sundays. Okay. Find out if your church has some counseling program. Would it be beneficial for you if you want to get a faith-based response, or you want to get an outside professional response? But you're giving them the power. You're not taking over. You asked for an invitation, and now they've invited you in. So now you can render some of the response that they need. But never tell them I understand what you're going through. Don't make it about yourself. It's all about them. When you do that, you make it about you. Yeah, I remember when I was going through. No, no. At that moment, it's not about you, and you're not a professional. You're just a first line person that may come in contact with someone in emotional distress. And, lastly, supporting mental wellness starts with compassion and consistency. You don't need any special training to make a difference. You just need to care. You just need to care for that one person. So I challenge you, if you know someone, reach out to that person who may be struggling. Listen without interrupting, encourage without judgment, remind them that healing and hope are possible. Has been the Bold Lounge with Ray Ramos. Once again, our mission is to believe, overcome, lead, and deliver. Remember, sometimes the most powerful act of leadership is simply showing up for someone who's hurting. Have a blessed week.